All right, everybody. Hello. It is Thursday morning, the day after the start of Seattle Seahawks training camp. Day two is going to start a little later. By the time you're watching this video, it may have already started. But before we move on to the events of day two, let's revisit day one. I've done what I can to round up information on what people had to say concerning the first day of training camp, and we're just going to cut through it, talking about the bigger stuff in more detail, and I'll go over some quicker, finer little points that I picked up as I sifted through the internet as well, and that's basically what we're looking at. Unfortunately, the biggest story, for me anyway, of yesterday was bad news. We got some bad news on Dwayne Eskridge. He is not practicing yet. He is there, but he is on the PUP list. Now, the PUP list at this point doesn't mean anything. It just means that he cannot work out right now. It means he could be working out tomorrow. It means he could be practicing tomorrow, the next day, in a week. It doesn't really mean anything. Once the season starts, the PUP list actually matters, because once you go on it, you cannot come off it for a set amount of time. But right now, it doesn't really mean anything. But this toe injury, which he got in OTAs a month plus ago, is apparently still bothering him enough to where he's not practicing. This is not what we needed to hear right now. This is not what we needed to see right now. Not at all. He's a rookie. He's a player who has a lot to learn. He has a player who has a lot to live up to in his rookie year. I've said it before, I'll say it again. If he does not have a good rookie year, whatever a good rookie year may be, people are going to come down on him extra hard, because they're going to look at him and go, well, that's the reason why we don't have Julio Jones right now. That's the reason why we didn't get a number 3 receiver who was a proven veteran, because we drafted him and now he's not doing things. So this is not what we needed to hear. Travis Homer also starts on the PUP list. Not nearly as big of a deal, although it may cost him a roster spot because there's DJ Dallas there. We'll see. And Pierre-Olivier Lestage starts on the NFI list, non-football injury list, which obviously doesn't really matter at all. All right, so as for the Jamal Adams situation, that is the other big, bulging, obvious red flag with regard to this team right now. What is going on with Jamal Adams? Short version is he was there, but he was not practicing. Brady Henderson tweeted this earlier today, saying that he had not yet seen him on the field. And then later he tweeted out that he saw him on the field, but he's not participating. Bobby Wagner did the same thing a couple years ago when he was trying to get his extension. And he got his extension after a couple of days. I think it was like on day 3 of training camp that year. And then he started practicing. So probably Jamal is just going to hang out. He was being, a good teammate. He was out there cheering the boys on, trying to help people, but he wasn't physically doing anything himself. And that will almost certainly be the case until he gets extended. I have it on good authority, not great authority, but good authority, that something's going to get done in a week, in the next week, I should say. So we'll see. Dwayne Brown, as Brady Henderson actually mentioned here, also not practicing, but that's no surprise. He is seeking an extension, which is something I've talked about before, but even if he wasn't seeking an extension, I don't expect him to practice very much. And during this part of the offseason, maybe not at all. Some good news on the front in terms of who was practicing and who wasn't was Rashad Penny. He definitely gave us a little bit of a scare when he was at OTAs and not really doing anything because of an injury. And it seemed like another one of those, oh God, here we go again deals where Penny was just not going to be there when we needed him. But he was practicing today, apparently. He looks like he's good. He was utilized. One thing that was actually mentioned a decent amount from people who were watching training camp today was the running game looked potent, with multiple running backs getting it done back there. So the Rashad Penny thing was nice. Other than that, Posick wasn't practicing, so don't really know what to make of that. Honestly, actually, I guess that leaves the only center who can actually practice right now being Kyle Fuller, so that's not ideal, but I have no reason to believe the Posick thing is that big of a deal. And that's probably all the interesting stuff in terms of who practiced and who didn't. So, nothing too shocking. The big takeaway, unfortunately, has to be the Dwayne Eskridge thing. That is a big bummer and could be something that hurts this team when the season starts. But maybe he'll be fine in a couple days. Such is the nature of the off-season PUP. The play of the day, to switch to something a little more positive, the most impressive play of the day was a long rushing touchdown from DJ Dallas. Looked explosive after cutting in space at the second level, according to Corbin Smith. That's something we didn't really see from DJ Dallas last year, so if he has plays in him like this year, that may very well be enough to get him the roster spot instead of Travis Homer or even Connor Weddington, because I feel like, obviously Carson's the starter. I still think Penny's going to make the team. I still think he's going to be around, so there's not a lot of carries to go around after those two. If DJ could be the guy, I think a lot of people would like that because he's a year younger than Homer. He's got a year left on his rookie deal more than Homer. And Homer is obviously starting on the PUP, so DJ Dallas has a real opportunity here to pick up a roster spot if he does well, and he made the play of the day today, so that was pretty cool. Other than that, let's see here. I think that's most of the stuff in terms of what actually happened on the field today. I know that the receivers and Ahkello Witherspoon were out practicing a little later than everyone else, which was cool. Carroll had some comments about how DJ and Trey Flowers would be battling for the starting job on one side, and Ahkello, Desir, and Randall would be battling for the starting job on the other side, which I kind of don't love that Trey Brown isn't in the mix there, but I have said before that I don't think that Trey Brown is going to be amazing out of the box. I think that's it in terms of stuff that actually happened on the field today. But one thing I want to talk about a little bit before we go are some comments from Chris Carson that kind of caught my eye here. Per Matty F. Brown on Twitter, Chris Carson saying that Shane Waldron's offense isn't as complex as last year and shoddy, which hopefully that's just him trying to be positive and not him actually saying that our offense is even simpler than it was last year, because I don't think any of us want that. The key is that everything kind of looks the same, run or pass. The above matches what Sean McVay does. Carson also said there is more running back out wide stuff, I'd guess empty. So, the thing that really catches my eye here when Carson says this, and, players are going to be very complimentary right now, especially of a new scheme. Everything kind of looks the same, run or pass. 3 years ago, the Seahawks started the season 0-2. They lost in Denver and they lost in Chicago. And I remember one of the things that people were talking about after that Bears game where the offense just was completely useless for about 55 minutes was the offensive line was giving away run or pass based on their stance. And when I saw this comment, that's what kind of came to me. I don't know if you guys remember, but they were specifically highlighting Germain Ifedi's stance on running plays versus passing plays and how different it was, and how the defenses, smart defenses, were probably looking at that and going, oh, he's standing like this, so this is a run, or he's standing like that, that's a pass. I think he had his stance out a little wider when he was pass blocking because he wanted to get that little head start. And I think that's something, I don't think it was that bad by the time the Schottenheimer era ended last year, or, early this year. But it kind of brought me back to that kind of stuff about how predictable things were under Schottenheimer overall. Like, it wasn't as bad as it was those first two games under him. I remember those two games. The team abandoned the running game in situations where it made no sense to, which you guys know I don't really like the running game that much, but everything in moderation, right? So I kind of just remembered that when I saw this comment, and it made me think about how what a good offense will do is look the same, run or pass. So that comment excites me because that's something specific. That's not just him saying, oh, this guy is great, this guy is a genius, this guy knows everything about football, this guy's going to score 50 points a game, calling plays. No, this is something kind of specific. And when I saw this, I kind of got excited about it because the last few years under Schottenheimer, we seemed to give away a lot. Teams kind of knew what we were doing. So if this comment holds true and everything does end up kind of looking the same, run or pass, that's big. Corbin Smith chimes in about how the backs lined up out wide in the passing game is exciting to Carson and should be exciting to a lot of us. If Dwayne Eskridge has a slow start out of the blocks this year because of this injury thing, obviously you can't really come back from that. But if we can get running backs to effectively line up wide and execute lined up as wide receivers, that takes a big chunk out of my concerns there. I've already talked about how multi-tight end sets with Everett and Disley could take a lot of pressure off our receivers. If our running backs can line up wide and get it done, which I don't know if they can do that, but if they can, then that would take a lot of stress off of the receivers as well. Because right now, barring Eskridge, if Eskridge doesn't get up to tracks in time for week 1, we're putting a lot on our top 2 receivers. So something to watch out for. Day 2 probably already started by now. We'll get some more information as the day goes on, but that's what caught my eye from the first day of Seahawks training camp. I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. Peace out, go Hawks. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you're interested in, but that's what I picked up from day number 1.